Here we are on ESPNcricinfo Match Day T20 to discuss a T20 match that had pretty much everything. Outstanding batting from Jos Butler, earlier from Chris Gayle, and 184 runs that Punjab set Rajasthan at their first home game of the season. Jos Butler's 69 was cut short by the opposing captain's decision in the 13th over to Mankaded him, to run him out while he was backing up too far or trying to gain an advantage. Well, in simple words, he found himself outside his crease and R. Ashwin ran him out, did not withdraw the appeal. That has headlined the win for Kings 11 Punjab, who've taken 2 points on the board. We're going to discuss that in detail, and I mean it when I say in detail, with Brad Hodge and Deepdas Gupta. Gentlemen, let's get underway straight away. You saw the incident. There are many layers to this. There is whether he was trying to gain the undue advantage or not in that case, whether Ashwin has tried to deceive him or waited for him to leave, and the general sanctity around the Mankading law on whether it should or should not be part of cricket. Brad Hodge, your thoughts?
Look, looking at the replay again, I don't think Ashwin had any intention of releasing the ball at all. I know as a I don't think Butler is out of his crease enough to be thinking that he wants to gain a huge advantage. So for me, as a batsman, when you're at the non-striker's crease, you actually have full belief that the bowler will release the ball. So once he lands on his back foot and you feel the arm's coming over, you're actually timing your runner. You get out of the crease as he's leaving the ball. So for me, it's...
So you're saying that's a natural result of a batsman, that he's looking to back up.
Yeah.
He's assumed the ball's gone. He's not trying to get 3 or 4 yards or 3 or 4 feet out as an advantage.
No. We've seen this happen most times more at the death batting than in the middle phases.
Deep.
Okay, now starting from your third question, which was sanctity, I'm all right with it. If the batsman is out of the crease and the bowler has not delivered his ball, I mean, he's well within his rights to do that, and I have no problems with it. Was Jos Butler trying to get an advantage? No, I don't think so. If you look at that replay,
not in this instance.
Not in this instance. Not in this instance. Now, did Ashwin hold on to his action a little while longer? Maybe he did. Now, my point is the law is pretty clear about the fact that if it's not released, you don't move. And I agree with you when Hodgie says, okay, you see the back foot landing, instinctively as a batsman, you start moving. But the laws have changed. Accordingly, batsmen need to change. Listen, we used to play with our pads, right? When as soon as DRS came in, people stopped playing with their pads and started playing with their bats. So with the change of rules, as a batsman, you need to change what you do, what comes naturally. And I think it's about time that batsmen watch the ball being released and then leave the crease. So I'm all right with that rule or what Ashwin did. Yes, I mean, there is a grey area whether there was an intent from Ashwin to actually release the ball or not, because the rule, I believe, says that the batsman can leave the crease when the bowler is expected to release the ball.
Okay, now there's rule 41.16, that's the one in question here. The non-striker leaving his or her ground. Right, we're going to throw that up for you in just a second. Now, under the previous rule, bowlers could attempt a run out only before entering the delivery stride, right? So even before you've tried to get into your action, your delivery stride, could you run out the batsman in the form of Mankaded? Now bowlers, the change came in recently where bowlers attempting to run out the non-striker before delivery to non-striker leaving the ground early. So in some ways you could say they put the onus on the non-striker to make sure he keeps his ground, right? This is the exact rule. If the non-striker is out of his or her ground from the moment the ball comes into play to the instant when the bowler would normally have been expected to release the ball. Now that's the point that Brad Hodge is saying. The batsman here is expecting the ball to be released at that point, and there is a significant delay between that time to when Ashwin actually takes the bails off. So you think in this instance, Ashwin's looking for this. He's trying to make this happen. Is that what you're
trying to say?
Yeah,
I've got no doubt, actually.
Yeah.
From what I can see on the replay, I think he's actually stalling everything to actually make this run out happen.
And even if he is, is that unacceptable for you? Or the fact that it's still been interpreted as legal and permissible, does that make it okay?
Look, there's a good lesson for every kid watching this game, and that's for Jos Butler to actually keep your eye on the bowler, not what's going on down there. For me, though, even if he had been looking at Ashwin, his momentum still would have been taking him outside the popping crease. So I actually still think that if he actually held on to the ball, he still actually would have been out. And then you'll find that most batsmen will do that. I actually had a look at a no-ball replay, which they checked for the Steve Smith dismissal. And on the point of delivery that Curran bowled the ball, the striker was actually out of his crease. So there actually could have been another Mankaded if he really just held on to the ball. We've seen Pollard a number of times bowl the ball and hold on to it, and the batsman's well out of his crease.
So what you're saying is you don't blame the batsman for having his momentum forward and not looking at the ball. But now you're saying that this could make people realize, or batsmen realize, that look at the ball until it's actually released. And hold your ground till then. Was that going to change the way a non-striker usually approaches?
It's going to have to, because the laws of the game actually state it. But I can't say I agree with this. The law's probably brought in so a batsman doesn't gain an advantage. I don't think Butler, on this instance, is trying to gain any advantage other than doing what you're told as a kid, and that's back up. You play under 9s cricket, you're told to keep your bat in, and when the bowler bowls it, start moving out of the crease. That's what you're told in under 12s, under 9s cricket.
So let's assume that what you're saying is true, that he's not in this case looking to gain the advantage, and maybe Ashwin's trying to be a bit naughty and he's looking for the wicket. He's looking for that wicket, and not just any wicket. He's looking only for that wicket of Jos Butler.
Yeah.
The fact that it's interpreted still as a run out.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? Or do you think this needs to go bigger and deeper with the potential outlawing of Mankaded?
Knowing Ashwin, he would have done his homework and know that Jos Butlers have been done before.
And Ashwin has Mankaded before as well.
Which that's where I think it's actually, if that's his thought process, I think it's marginally dirty tactics, to be honest.
Well, as far as Jos Butler is concerned, listen, once you get out in that fashion, which is so, it's not frequently that somebody gets out like that. You've got to be a little more careful. And because this has happened with him before, I just think that he would have learned. But obviously from here on, and you mentioned about under 12s and being told, but you're also being told to see the ball being released, right? I mean, from the non-striker's end, how the bowler releases the ball and all. So if you're following everything, you might as well follow the bowler releasing the ball and then leave the crease. Okay. I mean, like I said, there are changes. I mean, in cricket, we keep changing the rules and all. And as players, I think the onus is on us to kind of update ourselves and our techniques based on the changes in the rules.
Okay, there's one more layer to this, which is, should he have been warned? If you're looking to Mankaded, is that part of the spirited way to implement a law which is deemed to be against the spirit of the game?
Yeah, I think the whole part of it's to make sure that the spirit of the game is played in the right sense. And we've known from a long, long time in the history of cricket that if someone is trying to gain an advantage, especially at the non-strikers, and you warn them, and you give him a subtle warning, if he does it again, sure as hell, whip the bails off and off he goes, son. But I think this was a planned tactic, actually. I think that from what I can see.
Okay, so let me ask you the same question now. Is the warning in order? Would that have made this more acceptable?
No, I don't think so, and it shouldn't happen.
Let me go to another aspect then that I'm having a bit of a discussion on Twitter about the concept of deception. If he's trying to deceive the batsman, does that make it okay or not? Because there is a fake fielding law which has been outlawed recently, that you're not supposed to try and deceive the batsman. I was pointed out by Mazhar Harsha, the known statistician on Twitter, that there is an incident where Niroshan Dikwela was fined for trying to deceive or trying to gimmick a stumping of Solomon Mire in an ODI, where he waited for the batsman to go out of the crease in order to stump him. In that case, the batsman was anyway not out. So is the deceptive element of this incident considered to be something that you think should be outlawed, or do you think it's okay? Deception's part of the game.
Look, I don't think so. I mean, I think you can deceive people with skill, not through...
So that's what you're saying. Googlies are okay and switch hits are okay because that's skill-based.
Yeah.
Not through this gimmickry.
Yeah, I think this is deception on the wrong part.
You think differently?
I think differently because, listen, I don't agree with that fake fielding rule anyways. The incident that you mentioned, I've seen so many batsmen getting stumped and stuff like that, where the keeper is waiting for somebody who's not in balance after playing a shot, just waiting for him to drag his foot, just holding on to it. I mean, that has happened quite a few times in international cricket as well. So if you can allow that to happen, then why not? Why not this? And I think this is fine. I think it's time the batsmen start being a little more careful at the non-striker's end.
Okay, some reaction on social media. Let's pull that out and then I will run through some of your reactions on our Facebook Live. We'll come to that in just a bit. First on Twitter, Dale Stain. He ain't winning any Spirit of Cricket awards, is old Ashwin, right? Oh, and Morgan, cannot believe what he's seeing, the limited overs captain for England. Terrible example to set for young kids. Michael Vaughan, if Butler had been warned, that's fine. If he hasn't, and it's the first time Ashwin is completely out of order. Watch how often it happens. Mitch McClanagan, what an absolute disgrace. Spitting tax, and rightfully so. Pragyan Oja, feeling sad for Josh Butler. Hope it gives this rule change to give a compulsory warning comes in, says the left-arm spinner. Mohammad Kaif, it's within the laws. Josh Butler should have been warned by Ashwin. Before that, very surprised. Remember Ashwin doing the same thing in an international game where Sehwag withdrew the appeal. Akash Chopra, law is above the mythical spirit of the game. Don't fret, don't frown. Jason Roy, Ashwin, that's shocking behavior. I'm trying to see a pattern here. The Englishmen are outraged. Everyone else is somewhat in the middle on the fence. Right, let me read some of your comments coming in on our Facebook Live. Anthony Adams says, take away the Mankad. Somdat Lal says, great awareness by Ashwin. Santosh Vijay Kumar, how is illegally backing up by Josh Butler within the spirit of the game? There are some of you that are saying shame on Ashwin. There are some of you saying can't blame Ashwin. Madhu Sadan says, Ashwin might have won this game, but he's lost respect. What else do we have? Zidane Khan, shouldn't this rule be changed? It looks like it's unacceptable. If a batsman, in spite of getting an edge, waits for the umpire's decision and doesn't go until then, so what's the wrong getting an advantage, says Mukesh Pathak. Very poor cricket. It's not ending, and I don't get surprised. Ashwin got the wicket, but he's lost a lot of respect. Let me take this to another angle now. Would Ashwin take the 2 points in spite of the manner in which it's come? That's clearly a game-changing moment. Right?
Yeah.
Would he care about the lack of respect or the spirit of game, the game that he's violated here?
Look, he's got to play 7 other teams. So I don't think he's going to get any favours from any other teams throughout this IPL after that. So, look, he'll be happy with the 2 points. There's no doubt about it. You can't take away the fact that it's all about making the playoffs, and it's important.
So that's the other side of this. The stakes are so high in the IPL.
Yeah,
would you blame, let's say more of this happens, Michael Vaughan's tweet, won't be surprised if more of this happens. Would you be okay with that?
Listen, I'll be surprised if more of this happens after seeing what has happened. I think the batsmen would start looking at it, the bowlers would start looking at it and not make the same mistake again. And I mean, I think something positive needs to come out of it. And also, as far as the law is concerned, there needs to be a little more clarity in terms of exactly what can happen. You can't get rid of the law because then the batsman will start running even before the bowler is in the delivery
So the law
strike.
has to stay.
So the law has to stay, but it has to be more clarity in that law in terms of when a bowler can do that.
Again, we have put the wordings there, and the wordings seem to be vague.
That's
when it's expected to release.
Yeah.
Exactly. Either you say release or back foot or something. It has to be a little more specific than that.
Yeah, so what happened was when the back foot landed in one-day cricket and T20 especially, the non-striker would often just take off and trying to get back to... So when a ball's hit down the long on, the fielder, he'd get back in. So that was where that back foot law actually got changed to make it longer, give it an extra half a second before that person can take off. But such a grey area. I mean... As a batter, you're just assuming that every bowler is going to let go of the ball. Now I think we'll actually see bowlers just hold on to it. And by all means, you cannot give a person not out anymore. You just got to whip the bails off, and whoever's out is out.
So I just hope something positive comes out of it in terms of changing of the rules or making it more clear in terms of what can happen and what is acceptable and what is not.
Let's not make any mistake. These are 2 proper international senior players, seasoned players. R. Ashwin is a full-on international. We know that. Josh Butler too. This isn't some domestic player or an uncapped player or a youngster acting in a moment of passion or whatnot, which could only open the door for this happening more in the IPL and maybe even beyond. Now, if you're saying R. Ashwin didn't warn Josh Butler, that seems to be the case today. But make no mistake, he actually issued a warning a long time ago. So if you're following R. Ashwin's social feed, this is what he once said, replying to a fan on Twitter. On his thoughts of Mankading, and he said, I would Mankad every single day. I cannot push the front line, he says, as a bowler. Why should a batsman gain yards? And this goes back to the 2nd of February 2016. So we go there 3 years back after Ashwin had just had a nice lunch at 2 p.m. and he said he's always going to run a batsman out if he thinks he's gaining that advantage. You've
Look,
known him. How come
yeah,
he never did
yeah,
it last season? Did you stop
mate.
him from doing it?
No, look, I never actually come across that tweet. Look, I mean, I certainly wouldn't be ordering some late night supper from the hotel in Jaipur tonight if I was Ashwin. But you take your 2 points, they'll have a return fixture in Mohali. It's going to be game on.
One last thing which I'm seeing with it's not only about whether it's sportsmanlike or unsportsmanlike. There are some strong words from some of our Facebook live viewers saying it's tantamount to cheating. Now, would you call it cheating? Would you call it so against the code or laws or spirit that it could tantamount to being gaining?
Listen, we can sit on our high moral chairs and talk about, you know.
It can't be cheating.
It can't be cheating, right? I mean,
That's in the laws of the game.
exactly, and you know, it's very easy for us to sit and say about all this. You know, it's not morally correct, spirit of the game. But when you're out there, you're fighting for every point. You're fighting for, you know, all that is worth out there. You're gonna do stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we kind of judge people too easily. I mean, but it's a tough world out there. I mean, you can't be sitting here
I'm
and
not
judging.
sure there's too many captains around the world that would do that in the modern world of cricket.
Okay, let's see the impact this has. One way or the other, this is going to have some significant impact. You two ever had an incident when you got Mankaded? Any form of cricket? Anybody? Or felt like you were robbed of your wicket?
I know my first ever coach, Mankaded's best mate in a grand final.
Right.
Yep.
They were friends after that.
Never.
Never again.
And I'm not surprised
So
either.
they didn't forgive each other
No.
till
But yeah,
time.
I've been run out.
Yeah, that's an
I went for a
interesting one,
sweep shot and the keeper looked behind, but he actually
Keeper,
had the
who
ball.
was the keeper?
I think it was MSD actually, and whipped him off. I went off for a single.
But you went off for the single.
Yeah.
But you didn't know where the ball was.
No, but my point is it's the same assumption. You think that he's gone like that, it's gone. Whereas
But that happens so often. A batsman doesn't know where the ball is. He takes off. He realizes it's right. Then he gets run out.
Yeah, you can't blame stupidity for your wicket, I guess. So.
Okay. Deep, any memories of being Mankaded or
No,
robbed
not
of your
Mankaded,
wicket?
but I know
At any level, never
No,
been Mankaded.
no.
Did you ever see it happen in your own team to somebody else?
I know. I mean, Karthik's done that, and Karthik's
Yeah.
done that against Bengal, and we've had a chat about this, and I kind of agreed with what he said, and that's how I kind of evolved into this kind of a thought process.
Okay, I hope that's as exhaustive a discussion as you can have on Mankading. Thank you, R. Ashwin, for giving us these priceless moments in cricket, and keep an eye out for more on this. This is not the last we've heard of this. ESPNcricinfo.com and the mobile app will keep up to date with everything that comes out in reaction to what has clearly been a game-changing moment in this fourth match of IPL 2019. Right, let's go about the game ourselves now, and let's focus on the chase, which certainly had two halves, one with Jos Butler in it and one with Jos Butler without it. And after his wicket fell in that 13th over, Rajasthan just completely lost their way. Did the incident play into the minds of the team, the rest of the batting that came in, or was just Punjab very good with the ball after the Butler wicket? Just thoughts on how that chase went wrong after such a good start.
I think both actually. I mean, I think there would have been some heated people in the dugout that lost a bit of clarity on what was needed to be done once Butler disappeared. But I think they lost. What was it, 6-7 for 20 in 25 balls. So yeah, that's not good enough anyway. But it certainly did change the game. I certainly think that. Yeah, there would have been some people who just forgot about what was happening out in the middle. But having said that, I thought Mohammad Shami was excellent at the end and Rajput as well. So, yeah, some good death bowling. Mujib come back, got a couple of wickets. So, for me, actually, what was important as well was, the 16 extras which Kings 11 Punjab gave up to